Welcome, food and fitness lovers, to Tina's Ageless Kitchen. I'm Chef Tina Martini. You might know me as the Medicine Chef. Welcome, food and fitness lovers, to Tina's Ageless Kitchen. I'm Chef Tina Martini. You might know me as the Medicine Chef. Well, today in the Ageless Kitchen, we're going to go gourmet vegetarian. Everybody likes quiche, but you're going to be surprised what's in this recipe. This is a vegetarian and actually a vegan quiche, and we're using a gluten-free crust today. So hopefully we're going to make everybody happy. Now, what I've found with this tofu quiche is that the men really like it. So you don't need to announce that it's tofu right out the gate, but just let everybody taste it, and then you'll see that it becomes a family favorite. All right, so we bought our pre-made crust, and again, it is a gluten-free one. We've got our oven preheating to 325. This works better if you go a little lower on your heat. Remember, the general rule for pastry is make it cold, bake it hot. So normally we would have a hotter oven, but because it's tofu, we want to give it a chance to set up. So we're going to use a little lower oven temp. All right, first of all, let's talk about our broccoli. And I know lots of people think that broccoli is one of nature's most perfect foods, and you're not far off. It really has a lot of nutrition, especially the powerful phytonutrients. So we're looking at some sulforaphane here. We're looking at indole 3-carbinols, and those are the little Pac-Men that go in the blood and clean off the cells. That way the free radicals can't do damage. Now you notice that the broccoli I've chosen has a little bit of a blue tint to it, and that lets us know that it's really, really high in the phytonutrients. Now I've already got the broccoli florets done. The quiche is going to be in the oven for quite a while, so I find that the vegetables soften up enough without sauteing them. But if you want to add an extra layer of flavor and get some olive oil in your diet, then go ahead and saute your veg first. So I'm just going to show you how to take those florets off. Let me move our bowl just out of the way. Now take your French knife and just get in there and just take the little heads off. But we don't want to throw this out, do we, chefs? Chefs don't throw anything away. So what I would do is throw this in the freezer in a Ziploc bag or a container and save that for soup later. That way you're maximizing everything and we don't throw anything in the trash and waste our money. Now, the stems, they have nutrition as well, but the highest content of the phytonutrient is in the bright blue and green florets. All right, so we've got all our rest of our veg prepped. I'm just going to set this to the back. We'll put it in the freezer for later use. I've got some green onions, allium compounds, and quercetin. Really a lot of good news there with strengthening and cleansing the digestive tract, but it also helps the body to fight any kind of damage done to the cells just through environmental pollutants, which we talked about a little bit earlier. I've got some shiitake mushrooms already prepped. Remember, chefs, when you're using dry mushrooms, you just pour some hot water over those mushrooms and let them sit in the bowl and then strain that liquid off. Now that liquid is pure mushroom flavor. And remember, your job as a good chef is to build layer upon layer of flavor. So use that broth, and you'll see that I've got some of the mushroom broth here, and I've got some of the vegan chickenless bouillon cubes that we've already reconstituted with the hot water. Now the mushrooms, nice and soft, I've just sliced them. We've got a little bit of the red bell pepper. Carotenoids give us vitamin A, and we've talked about that a lot. A little bit of purple onion adds some sweetness, and I really like that in the quiche. But of course, if you've got other vegetables that you need to use, such as yellow crookneck squash or zucchini, this would be a great time to use those vegetables up. I've got something interesting to share with you today, and that's the Bragg family's nutritional yeast. Now, the Bragg company has been in business in this country for over 100 years, and they are truly the naturopathic pioneers in the natural medicine, which, as you know, is what I do. So we really want to support the Bragg family because they support us in longevity and wellness, and that actually is their focus. All right, I've got the silken firm tofu here, and I'm just going to break it up with my hands. You know I like to work with my hands, and I think they're actually one of the better tools in the kitchen. So let's just break the tofu up a little bit, and this is going to become the filling instead of eggs for our quiche. Normally, of course, we would use eggs and beat those up. All right, let's go ahead and put this to the back and make some room. Now, I'm going to use the mushroom broth in combination with the vegan chickenless bouillon. Now, no animals here. And let's just use enough to make the blender go round because we don't want to over wet the tofu. Remember, the bean curd has a lot of moisture on its own. Now, what's good about tofu? You know, recently we've heard some negativity about soy. We really need to correct that because soy is one of the highest contents of hormone balancing phytonutrients, genistein and diazian to be specific. Now, these are very intelligent, shall we say, phytonutrients, and they protect the hormone receptors from damage. When we consume a lot of hormone-based foods, and remember, even when we're eating organic meat and dairy, those are the end result of hormone production. So you're still ingesting high amounts of hormones just by the mere nature of the meat and dairy. So it is good for all of us to take a break from animal products whenever we can. Now, again, no genetically modified soy, chefs, really showing some damage to our immune system and our hormone receptors. So just use the organic, and I do like the silken because it's very nice, like a custard, and makes a beautiful filling. All right, so I've got a little granulated garlic here, and of course you'll control how much garlic you want. I've got some fresh thyme. And thyme really helps with the purification of our blood, and it also really calms and acts as an anti-inflammatory, which is great. And then I've got a little bit of poultry seasoning, and that's going to kick up the flavor of the chicken broth a little bit for us. So let's go ahead and see how we do here. And if it doesn't go around enough, we'll just add a little bit more of our mushroom broth. Now remember, your job as a great chef is to build layer upon layer of flavor. So everything needs to be seasoned as we continue to build those layers. All right, I'm going to flip this on and let's see how we do. So you can see that the soy is going around really well. Everything's blending perfectly and you can get that nice aroma. It's just great. So let's go ahead and see how we do. And boy, I think we hit it first right on the head, chefs, here, because it looks like it's the right consistency. So let's just get in there. Oh yeah, perfect. And the aroma of the chickenless broth and the nutritional yeast, not only adding great phytonutrients to our dish, but really adding that nutty flavor. It is very similar to kind of a chicken aroma and flavor. All right, so we've got our mushrooms that are already reconstituted, and I want to use all of those. Now remember, shiitake mushrooms, not only are they very high in amino acids, and that helps our body to build protein, but they're also very high in enzymes. They help the body to produce these protective enzymes that actually increase longevity and help with our digestive tract, build our immune system, and really just help slow the aging process all the way around. So who doesn't love a good meaty shiitake? All right, I've got some sliced scallions here, and I do like the purple and the green together. One's sweet and one's more savory with a little kick to it, so that's nice. Now, if you like chili peppers, you could do a Southwest. You could even fold some black beans into your quiche. It'd be absolutely delicious. So I've got all my veg except my broccoli. So I'm going to pick out some of the smaller florets, and these look great. All right. Perfect. And that way your broccoli will have a chance to soften up. Again, if you wanted to steam it or blanch it a little bit, no problem. All right, so that looks good. All right, so let's just fold our filling in, and we'll mix our veg right in, and then it goes into the crust. Perfect. Yummy. This is going to be great. I know it's hard to believe that this is going to become a family favorite, but just wait until you try it. And as you can see, it really is pretty simple. Now we could flavor it with a little bit of salt and pepper if we wanted, but I don't really think we need it. There's a little bit of sodium in the chickenless bouillon. All right, so the veg is all mixed up. I think I want a couple more broccoli florets and we're good to go. If they're a little bit big, just break them up. Okay, now whenever we're baking pie, remember to keep your crust cold. So we've still got a nice cool crust here. I'm going to put it on a sheet pan just for easy handling. And if we have any spillage, we won't have to scrub the oven. That's always good. All right, so we're looking good here. Just make sure that's thoroughly mixed because you want a bite of vegetable in every bite of quiche. All right, so we're using the gluten-free crust again, but any crust will do. Let's go ahead and put that in. Perfect. Oh boy, doesn't that look good. And it's going to be a real surprise to your loved ones that it's actually a tofu quiche. All right, so that's it. Let's just scrape that out. We've got our oven preheating, as I said a minute ago. You always want your things waiting for you, chefs. You don't want to wait for your oven or your pans to get hot. So always think of that as part of your mise en place. Now, what in the world is mise en place? Well, it's the French word for everything in its place, and it really is the first rule of being a great chef. Remember, the goal of every chef is to take the fewest steps in the kitchen possible. So you want everything that you need in one place, and that does include your cookware and your utensils. One of the reasons I think people don't like to cook so much is because they feel like they're a chicken with their head cut off running all around the kitchen. If you plan, read your recipe through 2 times before you start, there'll be no surprises and you'll just be able to put everything easily together. And then it all goes over to the sink, clean it up, and you're done and enjoying the fruits of your labor. All right, our quiche looks great. We're ready to pop it in the oven. We've got it on our sheet pan so that we don't have any mess to clean up. I'll be right back with an easy dessert and an adult milkshake. Welcome back, my gourmet vegetarians. Well, we've got our delicious tofu quiche working in the oven. That's going to be a little while, so let's talk about 2 really fun dessert options that can be put together just like that. Now, I picked this vegan pound cake up from a vegan bakery, and yep, they're popping up more and more, and I'm so grateful because it really saves a lot of work and a lot of time, and we still enjoy the benefits of great baked goods that are made with whole grains and not so much animal products. Of course, the vegan one has no animal products. What you can use for moisture in your baked goods, chefs, is the coconut milk or the soy yogurt. And yogurt is a great way to add some moisture to the baked goods. Now, I've got my pan waiting for me, and you know that's the general rule here. I'm just going to put a little bit of butter in, and I do want to use butter here for the ovo-lacto vegetarians, but of course, if you're vegan, you could use something else that works for you. Grapeseed oil would work here, or whatever you like. Now, I want to talk to you about a vegan butter that is available, and that's Earth Balance. Now, Earth Balance has really made it possible for us to do vegan baking and still enjoy the flavor of super rich butter. But I'm going to go ahead and use real butter. Now, the researchers are saying now that real butter is the way to go if we are going to use butter at all. We know that margarine isn't really that beneficial, and so to have a product like Earth Balance, really super great. Let me just clean this knife off, and we're going to go ahead and slice some of our pound cake. Now, this looks beautiful, and it's got a nice firm texture, and that's what we want. Now, you'll notice, chefs, that I'm using a serrated blade, and that is the little ruffly edge. This is designed specifically for soft things like baked goods, tomatoes, anything that you might smash or crush if you used a regular knife. So remember your serrated blade, and that is from the word serratus, which is a muscle in the human body, and that muscle looks like that wavy little line that you see on the blade. So that's where we got the word serrated. All right, so I'm going to pop this in our melted butter, and I'm going to kick that heat up just a little bit. We want a nice brown crust. Now, The pound cake, yeah, it's great the way it is, but with a little bit of toasty butter working with it and getting a little bit of that caramelization on the cake, it's going to add a nice texture, still moist inside, but crispy and golden and delicious on the outside. So let's just brown that up a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and move our cake to the side, and we're going to make a quick sauce. Now, what I've used here is my personal favorite, the Coconut Bliss ice cream. Now, this is a vegan product as well. Coconut milk filled with lauric acid and medium chain triglycerides. You're going to be hearing more and more about that in the news very soon. The researchers are showing lots of promise with the medium chain triglycerides. Now, this happens to be a pineapple Coconut Bliss. Let's go ahead and flip this and get it nice and toasty brown. All right. Now back to the sauce. All I've done again is temper it in the refrigerator. That keeps the temperature, and that's what tempering is, that keeps the temperature even, and that way you'll get a nice creamy consistency throughout. If we put our ice cream on the counter and leave it out at room temperature, the outside gets really watery and mushy, and it's still frozen hard in the center. So you're going to get a better result if you temper it in the refrigerator. All right, so all I'm going to do is just mix this up. And again, I happen to be using the pineapple coconut. And you can see how nice and creamy it's getting. All right, I'm going to add just a little bit of lemon zest, and I think that will be very nice with the pineapple coconut. And I'm going to hit it with a little bit of cinnamon. Now remember, cinnamon really keeps the blood sugar level, and that works throughout the day. So it's a good way to start the morning with a little bit of cinnamon in your oatmeal or whatever you like. All right, that's it, chefs. Bingo bango, and we're done with our sauce. Let's go ahead and pull our toasted pound cake. Doesn't that look amazing? Oh boy, and the aroma is just too fantastic. Now let's park that up top so we get a little bit of height on the plate. All right, so you can see how nice and creamy our sauce turned out. We've got a little bit of pineapple pieces in there, really delicious, and a little bit of texture. The lemon zest is going to brighten the whole thing, and the cinnamon warms us up and levels out that blood sugar. Who knew that we could have such a wonderful dessert that's actually full of phytonutrients? Build that fight. Build that immune system, and that's what the food that we create in the Ageless Kitchen is all about. All right, so the tofu quiche is working. I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to hold our sauce in the refrigerator so it maintains that beautiful creamy consistency without getting too watery and broken down. When we come back, I've got an adult milkshake for you that you're going to love. All right, we're back. And who doesn't love a milkshake? Now, we're really going to go for it with this milkshake, chefs. This is going to be an adult milkshake. But there's a way to make it for the kids too, so we'll go for that in just a moment. But for you and I, something special to go with our pound cake today. I want to show you a little vanilla bean before we get started with the milkshake. Now, I don't know whether you've worked with one of the fresh vanilla beans before, but they really are a prize of flavor. Now, don't faint when you see the price of these, chefs. They really are expensive, but you don't need much. So you could cut this bean easily into half or thirds, and that way you would get more for your money. Now, this is a milkshake that actually has some real medicine in it, and I know it's hard to believe that we're doing all of these wonderful sweets and wonderful desserts and really getting medicine, but it's true. Again, back to the ingredients like we were speaking about before. It's how you start that gives you that great result at the end, and also ensures that you get those foods with fight in your diet. We're using a cappuccino ice cream, and you know me, I like to go for that beautiful vegan ice cream anytime I can. Chefs, I've never met an ice cream I don't like. So anything that comes from Coconut Bliss especially, but if you want to just use regular ice cream, of course, do what your family likes and what you like to give to your family. This is cappuccino, and remember that coffee is loaded with catechins and polyphenols. Now, catechins and polyphenols, actually, a catechin is a member of the polyphenol family. What these do is they help prevent plaque from building up in the arteries. Yes, you heard me right. This ice cream actually helps to prevent plaque from building up in the arteries. Now, that of course lowers our risk of stroke, but here's the big news on the coffee in general. 1 8-ounce serving of coffee per day can lower our risk of Parkinson's disease by as much as 80%. That's hard to believe, isn't it? So something this yummy, again, adding medicine, really preventing cholesterol from damaging our arteries. And that, of course, is good news all the way around. All right, so I'm just going to scoop this right into our blender. Now, if you don't like coffee, of course, dark chocolate would work here. And dark chocolate really also very high in those catechins, the member of the polyphenol family. So dark chocolate, great news all the way around. Now, I'm going to get back to our vanilla bean here. So we're just going to take the tip of a very sharp paring knife and open that vanilla bean up. Now, what you're going to find inside are all the little seeds. The bean itself is really the pod, and this is from a beautiful orchid. I don't know whether you knew that, but this hangs down from the gorgeous orchid plant or the vanilla orchid. Now, what I'm going to do is just take a moment and carefully scrape those seeds out. Now, that is going to give some amazing flavor to our milkshake. And I think I'll dab a little bit behind my ear. Vanilla is said to make us more sensual. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit more of those beans out. Now, you think you're going to throw this right in the trash, chefs, but actually we've got another use for the pod once we take the seeds out. So let me just get this in the blender and clean my finger off a little bit. Now, we've got all the good stuff out. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to throw it in my sugar canister. And what that's going to do is infuse the sugar with that gorgeous vanilla flavor and aroma. So when you do your baked goods, cookies, or whatever you're making for your loved ones, you're going to have just that extra boost of vanilla flavor. I'm going to use some almond milk, and remember, nuts are really, really high in all kinds of different nutrients, and they're a great source of protein. Back to the fact that this is an adult milkshake, I've got the coffee flavored Baileys, and I've got a little bit of vanilla flavored vodka. So it's vanilla, coffee, and chocolate all the way around. Now, you'll make it as strong as you want, chefs. Let's go ahead and blend it up. Our tofu quiche is going to come out of the oven in just a few minutes, and we'll be ready to put it all together. All right, so you'll make this as thick or thin as you like. I like it a little bit thicker. I'm going to add just a little bit more Baileys here, though, so let's do that real quick. Oh, boy. That's going to be great, and the aroma, of course, is fantastic. We eat with our nose first, don't we? Oh, I'm starting to smell that quiche. I think it's just about ready to come out of the oven. When we come back, we're going to put it all together. All right, welcome back to the Ageless Kitchen. It's time to put it all together. So as you can see, our crust browned beautifully and the tofu quiche is nice and firm. You can see all of the beautiful vegetables. And with our vegan chickenless, it actually smells like chicken pot pie. So I know the vegans don't like meat, but in general, when you're trying to convert people over to eating less animal products, it's really great if you can duplicate flavors you're familiar with. Now we've got our pineapple coconut sauce here with our lemon zest, and remember, this helps lower cholesterol. The soy in the quiche helps us with asthma, and we've got our coffee and our beautiful coconut ice cream here as well. That lauric acid we know is pure medicine. All right, so I'm going to sauce our pound cake, and remember, it's just ice cream and cinnamon and that kind of thing, so really super easy. And just drizzle that around the plate, and you've got a beautiful presentation. Well, chefs, that's it for the Gourmet Vegetarian in our Ageless Kitchen today. I'm Chef Tina Martini. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week.